So, quick background for me, I cut my teeth in Southern California fishing. Spent a lot of time Diamond Valley Lake when I ended up moving to the Menifee area. I was a Diamond Valley tournament guy for 16 years. Fished Diamond, Paris, Skinner. If you guys don't know it, all these fish right here came from Lake Skinner. They stock these fish from Skinner. So if you're familiar with Southern Cal finesse fishing, you know clear water, finicky fish. Sometimes you got to use light line. So it is what it is. And this technique right here is one of those techniques, especially if you fish these clear reservoirs in Southern Cal, the fish are finicky, you'll get more bites. Quick history of the chicken rig. I first heard of the chicken rig maybe, like I say, 15 years ago. I remember a guy, you guys are going to know this man, Gary Yamamoto. The guy makes a Cinco, everybody knows what that is, the hula grub. Very, very famous guy, makes a lot of great baits. Back in, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years ago, he's fishing tournaments, and he made a couple top 10s. And this bait was kind of a secret for him, and he finally gave it up after a couple top 10s. And the original chicken rig, you got to give Gary Yamamoto credit for it. Basically what he did, like I said, if you take a Neko and a Texas and you put it together and did a weedless Neko rig, that's what Gary created. One of the baits that Gary had, you guys might even not remember this bait. He had a bait called a cut-tail worm. Anybody remember that bait? Basically, this is what it looked like. It was a straight tail worm, straight, but the tail kind of had a weird little shape to it. And that was key for him because when it was subtle, it would fall and kind of do a little shimmy. And that's where this bait was originated, with the cut-tail worm, and you spell cut-tail with a K. So that's where the acronym came from. Gary Yamamoto is the backwards, weighted, wacky cut-tail. Backwards, weighted, wacky cut-tail. And if you say that out loud, bok, 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 that's where the chicken came from. Got a heck over here. So just remember that. The chicken work, the chicken rig, backwards weighted, wacky cut-tail. That's where it originated from. That's why it's called the chicken. I'm going to talk about, obviously how to rig it, what the rod and reel combo I'd recommend, and I'm going to go up here and actually throw it in the water so you can see what it looks like. If you look up here on this projector board up here, those are a couple of them that I rigged for you. And those ones there, the one on the bottom, that's a Daiwa bait, that's a Daiwa Neko bait. Everybody knows that one right above it, that morning dawn one. Everybody knows the rope worm, morning dawn fat. That's what that one will look like. The gray one right above that, that's the Pro Cinco from Yamamoto. Obviously, if you guys are fishing Diamond Valley, everybody knows about the Pen Cinco, the Pro Cinco fly line. When you rig it backwards and you put a nail in the front of it, now you can go up to that down, face those ladders, and pull it right in the ladders, and jiggle it through. You're not going to get snapped. The one above it, a lot of people are going to remember that one. That's a Zoom finesse worm, or Zoom trick worm. So those are basically almost, a good variety of baits to show you how it's rigged. I experimented a little bit with different hooks. I started off using just a Dalmagossan rebar hook, because it had a good bait keeper on it and it wouldn't slide down as much. But I found that my hookup ratio wasn't as good as I wanted, because sometimes it wouldn't come through the worm very well. So then I switched over to these wide gap hooks, and then you skin hook it, and the hookup ratio went up tremendously. So real quick, I'm going to talk about the combo that I use to throw it. Basically, if you throw a Neko rig or a drop shot, it's going to be the same combo you throw that on. This particular rod is a 7'1" drop shot rod. It's an Iowa Tatula Elite rod. The key to this rod is, for this particular rig, most drop shot rods, we like a medium light. Agreed? You pitch it out there, you get a bite, you just start reeling the drill set on. If you look at this tip, it's a little bit stiffer. This is a medium action rod, not a medium light. And I like that a little bit better because you do got to make that hook come through that plastic and your reel set and your hook set on it. So this is just the one I like. It's a Daiwa. all companies make drop shot rods, so whatever company you like, if they make a medium action, that's what I recommend for this particular technique because it also doubles as a shaky head rod. Believe it or not, I throw rib baits on spinning tackle, so I use this rod to throw rib baits as well. So it's kind of a 3-in-1, 4-in-1 rod for me. But back to the chicken. I'm one of the guys that prefers the 2,500 size reels. I know a lot of the elite guys on tour are really pushing the bigger reels, the 3,000 size. I know a couple guys this year that are actually fishing 4,000 size spinner reels in fresh water. My personal preference, I just like a 2,500. But the key is the 2,500 reel that you buy, try to get a fast speed one. I mean, right out of the box, most 2,500 size bass reels, spinner reels are going to be that 4 to 8, 5 to 1, 5 to 6. Daiwa makes this one, and they make another reel called a ballistic, and they're 6 to 1. They're fast. And I'll tell you why I like a fast reel. Number one is when you're throwing this or you're throwing Neko, most of the time you're going to cast it into some cover, a truly patch, a shade under a dock. And you're going to shake it a couple times, and if you don't get a bite, you're going to reel it back in. Next spot. So just do the math. The faster the reel, the more catch you're going to get. So if you throw it out there, shake it, nothing, reel it in. Shake it, nothing, reel it in. You see that when I get up here. This is not a technique for most times if you're going to throw it and work it all the way back in, like a jig or a worm or something like that. The key to this bait is to try to catch fish where they're suspended, you catch them on the fall, stuff like that. Back to the reel, 2,500. The line, I'm one of the guys that likes the gray main line with a fluorocarbon top shot. You see my line is very bright, high visibility chartreuse line. And I'll just talk about that for a little bit. I want to say, maybe 5 years ago, fishing tournaments, I started noticing more and more guys are using this chartreuse line. I was one of the old schoolers. I'm like, man, that can't be good. The fish got to see that. I don't know about that. But then you start looking at the tournament standings. Those same guys with this chartreuse line were winning tournaments, cashing checks. So I decided, don't be stubborn, don't be a knucklehead. Try it on one combo and see what you think. So I did, and like I mentioned earlier, Diamond Valley is my home lake. I took it out to Diamond Valley, this white line with a leader, and trust me, the fish don't care about the main line. Okay, if you got a fluorocarbon leader, they don't care. I mean, even out in that 40, 50-foot drop shot, you see a fish on your screen, you throw this out there, that's another advantage I'll mention. If you got straight fluorocarbon line that's almost the same color as the water, 50 feet of water, you're throwing it out there, it's hard to see when your line stops when you hit the bottom. So you're kind of guessing, okay, I think I'm on the bottom. Yep, I'm on the bottom. With this fluorescent line, when you throw it out there, you're watching your line go down, and when your line stops, I'm on the bottom. Or I got a bite. Okay, so, they call that line watching. I became a line watcher. Another good example for this, if you're fishing, whatever your favorite finesse bait is, for example, if you're throwing underneath the dock. Braided line, we all know, floats on top. Just like a fly fisherman, you watching the line, and as soon as you cast out there sometimes, the fish will come up and grab it, and you see the little tick on your line, you got a bite. So, it worked out well for me. So if you're one of the guys like me 5 years ago, just try it. Just put it on one reel, give it a try, and I think you're going to agree with me that it's kind of the way to go. Fluorocarbon line and the leader. I'm not going to get into what knot I tied and put together. There's a bunch of good knots out there. Some of them I can't tie, so I ain't going to even try to push them. But just for me, that basic the uni knot works fine. My fluorocarbon leaders are going to be anywhere from, 5-pound test to 12-pound test, depending on where I'm fishing. Just like, I said earlier, don't change what you're already doing. If you're throwing an infrared, throwing a drop shot, do it exactly the same way you're doing it. The trick is the way you rig this. And I'll go into that right now. They call it, the nail rig, wacky, or nail weighted baits or whatever. And that's whole started because when this thing first started, people were really using nails, or drywall screws or whatever they could find. Now bait companies actually make a specific nail type of thing out of tungsten or lead or whatever that's designed for this technique. But guys I know still use screws, nails, or whatever, and it still works. This is how you rig it. You take this little gizmo here. It's made out of tungsten. You try to put it as straight as you can in the worm, and you push it in real slow. And try to keep it as straight as you can, and you push it all the way in until it's past the rubber, and that's what it looks like when you're done. Some guys have, developed ways to keep that inside of there. So a lot of times if you catch a fish and they shake, that'll fall out. And these tungsten ones usually cost about $1.25 each, and they're cheap. So that's $1 every time a fish jumps. So what guys do, once you put it in there, you can super glue it, tip, and that helps you stay in there. Some of the elastic plastics from Strike King and the TRD from Z-Man, I've seen guys, take a lighter or something and beat the end of it, and squeeze it, and it seals the check. That's another way to keep your nail inside. But experiment, do what you do. I'm one of the guys that I super glue mine in, and usually they stay in there pretty good. At this point, this is just a Neko bait. Everybody knows how to do this. You put a whole rig on here, you hook it, and you fish it. Or you just hook it in the middle, and whack it, and you fish it. And the way this thing works is you cast it out, and it falls like that. It kind of shimmies as it's falling, then you hop it, and shimmies as it's falling, and you reel it in, repeat. Like I mentioned earlier, if you do it that way, you're going to get bit, you're going to catch fish. But if you're fishing around brush piles, tules, rock piles, or whatever, where you've got snags, you're going to spend a lot of time retying. A good example is San Diego. They got a reservoir down there called San Vicente. They flooded it. They brought the water way up. So from the bank out to 50 feet of water, trees everywhere. Okay, trees that have quagga buses on them. So you're going to get broke off a lot anyway. So why add the added aggravation of having to retie? As soon as you hit a tree branch, that drop shot hook or that circle hook is going to get snagged, and you spend a lot of time retying. Hence, the chicken rig. You're doing the same exact thing. You're taking a hook, you're putting it in the middle, and you're facing downward towards the weight. And there's a good example of this. Now you got the same advantages of the Neko, the wacky, all the stuff that you're used to throwing, but it's weak. So it's kind of a win-win. I'll go into a couple scenarios where this thing shines. Number one, even if you're throwing a topwater bait, a buzz bait, jerk bait, whatever you like to throw, how many times do they either bite the bait and miss it, if you see them, or you see them following your bait? I always have one of these on the deck of the boat just for those situations. How many times have you or your partner been fishing and you hook a fish and you're reeling it in, and there's 3 or 4 other fish with that fish? I can't tell you how many times I've had a fish on, look down to see other fish, and I'll give the rod to whoever else in the boat. I'll pick this up and I'll throw another one out there. And a lot of times you get doubles. And my experience is when you do that, those other fish out there, sometimes the biggest, meanest one is going to bite this second rod. And now you got the biggest one in that boat tank. Especially in team tournaments. That's a good trick to have, especially if you're in Havasu and you're fishing, smallmouth. They're notorious for that, trying to take the bait out of another fish's mouth. Here's another scenario this thing's going to shine. If you're fishing, fun fishing, or especially a tournament, the name of the game is keeping the bait in the water. That same scenario, I just caught a fish on a crankbait. I get it in the net, I put him in the boat. Before I do anything else, I pick this up, and I throw it out there, and I just put the rod in. I don't even look at it anymore. I'm messing with this fish, putting him in the live well. I can tell you how many times I'm doing that, and the guy in the back of the boat goes, that other line's running, bonus fish. Sometimes those are the biggest fish you catch in the day when you're not expecting. Even if you're retying, you hit spot lock, and your power pull down, and you got to retie. Throw this out there, let it sit. By the time you retie, in your brain you're thinking, please fish guys, let me pick it up and there's a fish out there. And a lot of times you pick it up, there's a fish out there. So just think about that. Plan the odds of it actually rigged the right way. And every single one of these has a white gap hook in it. And, again, their weakness, you rig it, text close, and you skin hook it on the other side. And that's the chicken rig. But I want you to look at the action as it falls, and as I slowly hop it. Again, basically what you're looking at is a wacky Neko setup that's just weakness. And I'm not sure if you can tell, I mean, the leader that I have on my fluorocarbon leader is a little bit longer than I normally would have. And I'm just curious if you guys can see any chartreuse fluorescent line in the tank at all. You can't see anything, can you?
Light it.
Give you one more, and I'll dead stick it. You know, one of the other seminars, I got a few questions. If nobody had questions, I'll just go over the ones that I already got. One of the questions was earlier, how long of a leader do I put on the setup? Just kind of a rule of thumb. Like I said, this was a little bit longer for the tank. When you tie your splice knot, your connection knot, try to make that knot end up somewhere between that first guide and your reel. So this one is actually probably like 2 feet too long. If that makes sense, if you can see it, this is where my knot's at. So at the end of your leader, that's how long you want it to be, about right where my hand is. Did I ask you that? I got asked, you know, again, what pound test is my favorite setup. For the main line, I like anything from 10-pound braid all the way up to 15-pound braid on the spinning rod. And for the leader material, you know, depends on the situation, 15-pound sunline all the way up to 12-pound sunline. This one's set up with a 7-pound test sunline sniper. That's what that setup is right here. And again, the rod, you know, it's basically a drop shot rod. It's just, you know, a little bit stiffer. It's a medium action instead of a medium light. And, you know, just a couple other scenarios where this rig might actually come in handy. If you're, you know, for example, I don't know how many guys go to Lake Mead, but everybody knows that does go. When you're trying to catch largemouth and smallmouth at Lake Mead, a lot of times if you find stripers, you'll actually find largemouth and smallmouth with the stripers. But how do you get those fish to bite in those striper schools? Because if you throw an Alabama rig or the normal stuff, stripers are going to kill it. But a lot of times if you take a rig like this, that kind of falls through that top layer of stripers, the smallmouth and the largemouth will be underneath those. So this is a good one for that. You know, breaking fish, stuff like that. And, you know, I mentioned earlier follow-up bait. This is a dynamite follow-up bait, cheater bait, different scenarios that you can use this. You know, where this thing really shines, if you're in a super clear reservoir or a lake, I keep using Lake Mead and Lake Havasu and Mojave as examples. A lot of times, you got on polarized sunglasses and all you're seeing is dark spots in different places, you know? And that's the spots that you want to cast it. You want to cast it a little bit past it, reel it into it, and a lot of times in your mind, you don't know if that's a brush fowl, if it's a habitat or Lake Havasu, you don't know what it is. But, you know, a good way to find out is if you got to open the wacky hood, when you get snagged, you're going to know. You know, you have to go over there and snag it. So this thing right here, that's weedless, the chicken, you can throw it in those areas and shake it loose, and you're not going to get snagged. So it's a win-win. I think I might have covered everything. I know it's only about a half an hour or so. Any guys got any questions? Zero? It's like when you go to junior college, no questions. That means I covered everything, right? All right. Well, I got a couple baits I'm gonna give away. If anybody wants to see these up close, I'll come down and let you check them and hold them and stuff like that. And I got a couple freebies over here. So thank you very much. This is the chicken rig, the backwards wacky weighted cut tail. The chicken rig. Thank you very much.